Welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Stephen Cairns on Fight Week. Stephen, how are we, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Just getting that last bit of weight down now. Had my last boxing session today. Feeling sharp, feeling strong, and yeah, I just can't wait for Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you look in very positive spirits, which is great to hear. And we're going to speak a bit more about your fight in just a moment. But with anybody that comes on to here, the interview I like to start at the very beginning and start off with a question, which is quite a basic question, but I always like to start off with it being, why did you start boxing?
So I was 7 years old when I started boxing, and I suppose at the time back home in Ireland there was a recession,
Mhm.
and there wasn't much happening. There was no work, there was no nothing. So me and my dad we literally joined the boxing gym, and we used to go like 2 days, like two times a day,
Mhm.
fucking years, like literally, because there was nothing happening,
Mhm.
and we just kind of fell in love with it. I used to play football when I was younger.
Mhm.
I wasn't a bad footballer,
Mhm.
but you could say I was kind of like I was a timid kid
Okay.
before I went into boxing.
Mhm.
Then so I started boxing. I remember going back
Mhm.
after 6 months of boxing, and they were like asking my dad, "What did you feed this kid?" Like,
Mhm.
like to always come back a different kid. Like, and I think it was just that confidence from boxing, and I just loved like I suppose I loved fighting and loved the confidence it gave me.
Mhm. No, it's a brilliant story. I always hear fighters talking about how much boxing helped their confidence, and I suppose in general, the fact that you managed to start going with your dad and having that support from him. Some parents are maybe a little bit reluctant to let their kids go into fighting sports, but how nice is it to have that early support from them?
Yeah, I've always had my support. My dad's my number one fan since I'm since I'm like obviously since I'm born, but like from boxing,
Yeah.
he's been with me every step of the way, and he's in my corner for my professional fights now as well. My mom is quite the opposite. She's like she won't watch my fights.
Mhm.
Like she'll come into the arena. I remember years ago when I fought in the European Championships over in Anapa in Russia,
Mhm.
and she got three flights over, okay, like 12 hours of traveling or whatever it was,
Wow.
and she didn't watch. I had four fights out there. She didn't watch one. All
Wow.
right, she's to go out for a cigarette, fucking mid fight, and then she'd come back in for the result.
It's,
But yeah, she's completely opposite to my dad, where she gets nervous. But me and my dad are just this is what we've done since knee
mm,
high.
mm. No, that's a really interesting story, and I suppose when you are looking back and thinking about early boxing, what is that first fight memory for you? That first amateur fight memory?
I think it was probably so. I had my first fight, like first exhibition, you could say, and I fought a kid, and I remember I hit him. I was wearing like my trainers, and I was wearing like these big long basketball shorts that were probably my dad's. Like they didn't even fit me.
Mhm.
And I just remember hitting the kid, and I dropped him and stopped him in the first round with a body shot. And I just remember like fucking proper buzzing with myself, and I thought like, fucking hell, I love this. And then I did like after a few exhibitions, I was like 10 year. I was when I was 9. They let me had a like a proper fight, and
Yeah,
I wasn't meant to fight until I was 11.
yeah.
But because all the exhibitions I was having, I was like blowing the kids away. They were like, "Let's get this guy a proper fight." And I remember one of my like memories from my proper fights growing up is like, or this one year I fought the Munster champion.
Mhm.
I was only 9, he was 11. He was the Munster champion.
Right.
So my dad bribed me with a pair of Dre Beats,
Right.
and he said, if you can beat him, I'll
Mhm.
get you a pair of Dre Beats. And I remember going in, winning the fight, and then getting my beats afterwards. I was buzzing. But yeah, it was like the first kind of memories I've had of like winning fights and boxing.
Mhm. Does he still bribe you with anything to get your wins now?
No, not really. I'm self-motivated now. I
Mhm.
uh I just love the sport. I just love every bit of it. There's parts obviously where it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but the grind, the process, and afterwards getting that win,
Mhm.
and then getting a big fat burger afterwards, there's nothing better.
Mhm.
Nothing better.
Mhm. No, I'm not surprised. And I suppose, continuing just one more question about amateur kind of times, you seem to look back upon it very fondly, which is always amazing. And what is your favorite memory from that time?
Probably getting the silver medal in the Europeans.
Mhm.
Obviously losing in the final, you're gutted,
Mhm.
but I was the year younger going out there, and I wasn't obviously a year younger. You're not meant to do anything,
Mhm.
and I went out there and like won four fights to get my silver medal, beating um, Scotland, Turkey. Who's the other one? I can't even remember the other one to be honest, but I just remember that buzz, like, and how happy it made my family and stuff. And like coming back, and I got to meet the like Lord Mayor of Cork, and that was like the start of. I got a award then for like the Cork Sports Youth Awards, where you're like the best athlete of the year in Cork and stuff. And I just remember that like that's like good memories. Like that was like the start of me winning big things in boxing.
Mhm. Have you always been just really proud to represent your nation?
Yeah, I love every time I fight for Ireland. It's like that honor of throwing on the Irish vest and going and fighting other countries, and knowing that you're the best in your country and you're fighting the other best is though you're basically your elite level. So I love that feeling.
Mhm. And of course, you are still young yourself, and you got into the sport young, and obviously you turned pro at a young age as well. But why did you decide to turn pro when you did?
It was during lockdown, and there was nothing in the amateurs happening. And to be honest, I was at home, and me and my dad kept training. We had the gym out the back, so we kept training probably three, four times a week. And it just obviously during COVID, it looked like nothing, like we didn't know when anything was going to happen again. So I ended up going out to Lanzarote training. They were doing training camps out in Lanzarote for professional fighters. So I said, okay, though I might be able to get out there and train with these guys, like, do you know what I mean? I'm at home doing nothing. And texted them, got out there for a training camp, was sparring with some pro boxers, and it was kind of out there that I was like training twice a day, running, sparring, training, strength and conditioning, and I just thought like, yeah, I want to be a professional boxer really, and like that's where I kind of changed. But like in the amateurs, I always had like a pro style. Um, I was never kind of the guy who used to go in tip tap and try to get nick a point. I was the guy who was trying to take your head off. So I always knew I was like made for the pro game.
Yeah, yeah. No, of course. And something I really like from you, of course, mentioning going abroad to train and things like that. In general, your career, you fought in lots of different places, going from the amateurs to also the pros as well. And I suppose, first of all, where have these opportunities come from? And second of all, is it something that you enjoy doing, experience these different boxing cultures?
Yeah, definitely. Like boxing. One thing boxing is it's going to bring you places that you never thought you would be. It's like one of my second last fight I fought in Uzbekistan, and I would never, I would probably never go to Uzbekistan other than for boxing, and like it was unbelievable. The atmosphere out there, the fans out there were getting amazing. They're like so like even now I have a lot of guys from Uzbekistan following me, and they text me saying love from Uzbekistan and stuff, and just their whole arena out there was probably one of the best arenas I've ever fought in. And like you wouldn't expect it, but it was amazing, and it's like it's priceless experience because one day I might have to go to Uzbekistan to win a world title. You never know.
No, of course. And you went out there and you got a stoppage and you got a stoppage the past two fights now. And in general, as I've mentioned, you're still young. Do you feel like that man strength that every fighter talks about is something which you've definitely started to maybe feel a little bit more as of recent?
I'm getting a lot stronger in strength and conditioning gym. I work with boxing science. I'm a strength and conditioning team. So yeah, I'm like they tell me they like we do he does out my stats and all that every couple of months, and like every month I'm getting stronger, fitter, faster. So I'm just constantly improving, and like I'm seeing it come into my boxing game now. I'm hitting harder than I was 6 months ago. So yeah, and I don't think I've got my man strength yet. So in another give me another 2 years, and I'm gonna be a powerhouse.
Mhm. No, I can't wait for that. And like you've mentioned, you're self-motivated, and that's something which is great to hear. How important do you feel like that is to not really be perhaps relying on other people to gain that motivation and to, you're not getting burnt out, but you're also keeping motivated?
Um, I just think like there's motivation, but then there's also discipline comes into it because you're not always motivated to go to the gym and get up when you're tired and you're sore, and there's some days you really you actually don't want to go to the gym, but you just have to because it's that discipline. But I have that like inbuilt in me where like if I don't go to the gym, I feel weird. I feel like I'm a dosser. I feel like I
Mhm.
should be doing something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just something I've been like obviously I've done this since I'm 7 years old, so this is all I know. All I know is work hard and you'll reap the rewards. So
Mhm.
that's all I know and that's what I do in everything I do in life.
Mhm. No, of course. And somebody who, as a coach is always raved about you, Dave Caldwell. He's someone that has seemingly been backing you the whole way as a coach as well. And how much has he supported you and helped you throughout your career so far?
Massively, Dave has given me the opportunities that I didn't have.
Mm.
Uh, he's got me deals. He's trained me since I'm 18, and the development that we've had together and the bond that we have is it's amazing. And yeah, you're gonna see on Friday night the improvements from my last fight again.
Mhm.
And over the next few years, I've no doubt we'll win a world title together.
Mhm. No, I don't doubt that either. And I suppose obviously you had the last fight kind of not happen, the first one with Queensberry that got announced, and then you've
Yeah.
obviously had to wait a little bit for this one, but do you still have that real motivation to come out and to create a statement, I suppose, obviously this one being your first Queensberry fight?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go in there and try too hard because I know if I do what I do, I'm gonna shine.
Mhm.
And a lot of times you can go in there and try too hard and the whole occasion gets you. But like I've learned from in my third fight, I kind of got a bit too much where I was trying to get the knockout. I was trying to do this and it doesn't come off. And you probably heard yourself that when you go looking for the knockout, it never comes.
Yeah.
So you go in there, look to beat him up, look to sting him, hit him, and the knockout will come.
Mhm.
So that's all I'm going to be going doing is sticking to my boxing, and I am 99% positive that knockout will come.
Mhm. Do you feel like you've been improving with every fight of yours?
Yeah, every fight you have, you just feel like that bit better fight. Or the next time you come back into the gym after the fight, you just feel like that bit more complete of a fighter. You've like it's a new experience that you've had. You've done whether you've done 6, 8 rounds, whatever. Like it's that new experience, and it's like armor that you're adding to yourself. You know what I mean? And you come back into the gym, you feel I can't explain it. Like it's hard to explain in words, but you feel a lot better. Like an all around fighter, better all around fighter.
Totally. And I suppose for anybody who may not have watched you fight before, what would you say are these key attributes and the things that make you interesting as a fighter?
I'm very powerful.
Mhm.
And as I said, in the amateurs, same in the pros, I'm not going in there to tippy tap. I'm going in there to knock someone out. But I've got boxing skills. I can box, I can bang, I can counter punch. I can do whatever I need to do to win. And I'm pretty sure my style, people are gonna love my style, and I'm gonna be exciting.
Mhm. No, indeed. And obviously, you've mentioned world titles and that want to get to that level, but I suppose years' time, where would you like to see yourself?
Years time, I definitely want some sort of strap around my waist. Um, we're stepping up to 8 rounds now for this fight, and who knows by the end of the year we could be getting a strap.
Mhm.
Um, but like I'd love like in a year or two time, you never know, I might fight for some sort of European title or something like that. But obviously everything's a process. You can't rush. You can't jump from here to there. Dave, like obviously he teaches us a lot about boxing, but also like how boxing works. And you can't jump levels. You need to tick every box on the way up to world titles. So when you get there, you can win them titles.
Mhm. And I'm sure, like you've mentioned, you fought in a lot of different places, but where is maybe a dream venue for you to have a world title fighter?
Back home in Cork, in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Steve Collins fought Chris Eubank senior there. Years ago they fought in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I think it was the only ever boxing match in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So yeah, big massive stadium. I think like 60,000 people from Cork. Every time there's a GEA match or there's a hurling match, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's completely packed out. The atmosphere is unbelievable. Like there's actually no atmosphere like it. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I want to get the whole of Cork behind me, and one day we'll fill out Páirc Uí
And I suppose from seeing other fighters who have bought their own world title fights home and had big fights at home, do you feel like that kind of an atmosphere where it is your obviously your hometown and you're representing the people? Do you feel like that just is the best type of atmosphere in boxing, really? It's not like something you can't really beat it, I suppose.
like coming home and then win the world title at home. Like I can only imagine what the feeling's like, but I can imagine it being unbelievable and probably one of the best feelings in the world in front of all your whole town, all your friends, all your family, everybody's there to support you, and you get that win that world title. It must be some buzz, some buzz.
Mhm. No, indeed, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to leave with this final question. For anybody that comes on, I always like to kind of open up the floor. Is there anything you want to shout out, promote, anything like that?
Shout out to all my sponsors. If you look on my social media, you'll be able to see all of them. You can follow me on Instagram, Stephen.Cairns18, and on TikTok, The Irish Takeover. Um, but yeah, follow the journey because it's going to be one hell of a ride.
I believe so, and best of luck with your fight this week. And I appreciate your time very much again. And if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you did indeed like the video, and thanks for watching.